Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and today we are back with another new armor skill breakdown. This series where we're taking a look at some of the new skills introduced in Sunbreak because there are some fantastic ones. We've already done videos on some of these so far, and today we're turning our attention to Mail of Hellfire. In this series we'll talk about what they do, how they interact with other skills, and their general best use cases. However, before we go any further, Mail of Hellfire is tied to an endgame armor set, so if for some reason you do not want to see it, then I would highly recommend you step away now. But if you guys do want to see this, then we are of course talking about the bonus that comes on the Scorned Magnamalo armor. If you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below if you have made this yourself, if you've tried it out, and if you guys have come across any handy tips for your fellow hunters, be sure to share those in the comments as well. So first things first, this skill can be found predominantly on the Scorned Magnamalo armor sets. It's on the chest, the arms, and the waist for a maximum of 3 points. As with most of these new skills, currently they do seem to be, largely speaking, tied to their respective armor sets. It is one of those things whereby when they introduce DLC and title updates in the future, I am hoping these do find their way onto charms, decorations, and if you've been lucky enough to get one on a charm, definitely let us know. But currently, from our testing, it does seem that if you want this, you're gonna have to go and get that armor set. The description for this skill is that it decreases your defense, but it increases your attack. Exact changes to stats depend on the switch skill swap scroll that is being used. Again, I love how there are so many skills here that really lean into the switch skill swap feature. It of course makes sense, it's one of the big selling points of Sunbreak, but it is really cool how there's so many skills that interact with this mechanic. Level 1 for the skill, when using the red scroll, your defense is down, but your attack is up. But then when you swap to the blue scroll, your resistances go down and your element goes up. Meanwhile, on level 2, this further decreases your defense and your resistances while increasing your attack and element, again on the respective scrolls. And then level 3, surprise surprise, greatly decreases your defense and resistance while greatly increasing attack and element. So basically, red scroll is your raw attack boost, blue scroll is your element attack boost. So depending on the playstyle that you're going to be using, that will dictate the scroll that you lean more towards. But what exactly does this mean? Well, the skill is super easy to understand. Again, doesn't really require any specific mechanics around building a meter like say the Furious Rajang set. It is quite simply, if you want a buff to your attack, you go in the red scroll. You want a buff to your element, you go in the blue scroll. Of course, the one trade-off here being that you are left vulnerable as a result of this, so you do of course want to ideally avoid being hit, but generally speaking, that's something you want to do anyway. To talk more granularly about this one, in level 1, you get an increase of 15 attack, but your defense decreases by 50. Level 2 will give you an increase to 20 attack, but decreases your defense by 75. And level 3 will increase your attack by 25 and decrease your defense by 100. Meanwhile, in the blue scroll, level 1 gives you a 5% increase to element, but decreases elemental resistances by 10. Level 2 gives you a 10% element increase, but again a 25 reduction to elemental resistances. And level 3 gives you an increase of 20% to your element, but decreases resistances by 50. So they are some pretty noteworthy numbers. However, useful things to note about this skill and this armor set. Before we go any further, first things first, this is quite possibly one of the best looking sets in the game. It is incredible. It looks like something out of Gurren Lagann with the floating hands above the shoulders. It is honestly quite possibly the most anime set in the game. I love this thing. However, we probably should have a vote in the comments of the best looking set in the game. So let us know your suggestions down below for what you think is the best looking armor set in Sunbreak. But I will say it's going to be pretty hard to top this with the floating blades, the floating cape, even the crazy badass helmet. Honestly, everything about this is just 10 out of 10. I really do love what Capcom have done with armor in Sunbreak. However, outside of looks, this is definitely a risk versus reward set. So much like with things like Dereliction, you are trading safety for a massive increase in damage, meaning the best tip we can give you is learn how not to get hit. The defense debuff will be enough to take you into one-shot territory for some of the later game monsters, so you definitely need to know how to dodge and counter if you don't want to be contributing to the cart counter on your quest. For the most bang for buck though, taking 1 point will give you the most benefit without a massive trade-off, as you'll still get a bonus 15 raw without too much of a detriment to your defenses. In addition, skills that work directly with this, in general, it's going to be much more of a damage over everything playstyle while using this skill. You can of course just pack as much attack as possible, throw in any of your attack focused skills, and you can then lean heavily into this to basically make yourself almost like a glass cannon. You can also use this with Bloodlust for a further bonus to attack, and some of these Scorn pieces have Coalescence packed in already. Dereliction, however, does not really work well with Mail of Hellfire because the corresponding damage increases are on the opposite sides of the scrolls, so you won't really be able to gain the raw attack bonuses at the same time, so you kind of don't want to use these together. As for Dango skills, Moxie will definitely stop you from getting instant clapped if you do have a heavy hit, so maybe consider taking that. Insurance alongside this just to safeguard and stop you from failing the quest because of course you are walking around with a massive hit to your defense, and Dango Booster will give you temporary boost to your attack and defense, so this of course synergizes quite nicely. Personally, I think this is a set that definitely everyone should craft and check out. It is honestly super cool from a design point of view, super cool mechanically, and definitely a lot of fun to mess around with if, again, you can survive being hit. But that's it for the time being. That's a little rundown on the Mail of Hellfire armor skill. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of it. If you've missed some of our recent videos, be sure to check out one of these ones, and stay tuned for plenty more.